The sandhill crane is a very large bird. They stand 3 to 4 feet tall. One website said up to 5 feet tall for males. Their wingspan is about 5 to 6 feet. This family unit consists of two adults, which mate for life, and an offspring which I would say is a bit large to be referred to as a colt, which is what a young sandhill crane is called. The adult birds have a patch of red skin on their heads, and you can identify the immature bird by the absence of the patch. Gender is not obvious. The male is generally a little larger than the female, but the real test for gender requires a person to witness their mating dance. He begins the dance and will point his head straight up in the air. She will join his dance, but only points her head about 45 degrees to vertical. I have neither witnessed this ritual nor seen a video of the courtship ritual. This encounter is my sole sighting of these birds, but the dance is said to include bowing, skipping, jumping, and the birds might even repeatedly throw a stick into the air. When the dancing begins in a flock of birds, the activity spreads to other pairs, and it is said that it can be a very remarkable sight. The sandhill crane spends most of its time on flat wetlands feeding and usually spends the night standing in ponds or lakes for protection from predators such as coyotes and bobcats. Like several of the migratory bird species, some of the populations do not migrate, but live year-round in warmer climates, something akin to Yankees that come south and never go back up north again. One of the websites where I looked for information for this dialogue said that in the spring of the year, about 500,000 of these birds land in the Platte River area of Nebraska on their way to the summer breeding grounds. Migratory populations go to Michigan, Minnesota, and Canada for the summer and winter in Florida on down to Central America. Not intending to start any argument, in the book of 2 Peter, chapter 3, verse 8, Peter says that to God a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day. In other words, it seems to me that he doesn't say which direction he's counting from. So I see no conflict between the Genesis creation story and the scientific fossil dating. My entire goal here is to entertain you with videos of God's marvelous creatures. Selah. Sandhill crane fossils have been found in Nebraska dating back some 6 million years, making the sandhill crane the oldest living bird species. They were hunted by Native Americans and pioneers in years past, and through regulated management can still be hunted in Oklahoma. The birds, being opportunistic feeders, eat grains and other vegetation, bugs, reptiles, and even small mammals. In my video, they're eating day-old bread, which the lady who lives here threw out for them. That made it easier for me to photograph them, but the long lens of my Sony HX400V would have gotten them anyway. Sandhill cranes mature in 3 to 5 years and build their nest in remote areas of swamps and wetlands. They build it on the ground from sticks and vegetation. They typically lay 2 eggs, which are greenish or brownish with dark spots. Both parents incubate the eggs for a month, and they usually hatch within a day or two of each other. The older chick is the most likely to survive. They usually begin flying at around 10 weeks old and then are called colts. The birds are gray, but some of them look brownish because they preen their feathers with mud which has a high iron content. The cranes have a variety of vocalizations. Their voices are quite strong and can be heard up to a mile away. One website described their calls as a long, rolling musical rattle. Sandhill cranes are often mistaken for great blue herons, but identifying them and flight is not hard. The cranes fly with outstretched necks, while the herons fly with their long neck in sort of a S-shaped position. Cranes have a more rapid upstroke of their wing beat, while the heron has a slow, steady wing flap. Sandhill cranes nest separately on the ground, while great blue herons nest in rookeries or large colonies in trees. The cranes have a loud trumpet-like call, while the blue heron emits hoarse croaks. The birds in my video are most likely year-round Florida birds living in and around Lakeland where I was visiting. These birds were quite used to people and readily approached for an easy meal. One of them actually ate from the bowl containing the bread, but none would eat from my hand. They were much more content to peck the food from the ground, though they seemed to have little fear of me. They walked across the street with no fear of cars or trucks stopping traffic as they went. After we left, it was reported that 6 cranes came by one day looking for a snack. It added a really nice highlight to my visit. Thank you very much.